Oh my God. Hello and welcome to Ashburg. For this week's video, we decided to pick up some winter-themed thrillers, aka books where our main characters were caught in some extreme snow conditions. So we picked up some books, had a whole little reading vlog. One of the books made me cry. It was a good week. So without further ado, please enjoy a week of wintry thrillers. So the first book we're going to read for our week of winter thrillers is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. So this is about Trisha and Ethan, who are newlyweds and are house hunting, which I love to do. There is a millionaire out there whose taste I have eviscerated, because you might have 10,000 square feet, but your kitchen is trash. While Trisha and Ethan are house hunting, they come across the remote manor of Dr. Adrian Hale, who was a really famous psychiatrist that disappeared without a trace 4 years ago. They get to the manor planning on meeting the real estate agent, but the real estate agent is nowhere to be found and they get caught in a blizzard, so they're stuck at the house. While just bopping around this seemingly abandoned manor, Trisha comes across a secret room that's just filled with all these tapes. And the tapes turn out to be recordings from Dr. Hale's patients. And as Trisha listens to these tapes, she comes to find out exactly what happened to Dr. Hale. I did get to start this. I got a few chapters in and I have gotten to the part where Trisha starts to listen to the videotapes. Some stuff I like about this so far. The first thing is Trisha. She is quick to tell you about designer fabrics and brands, and she's nosy. She'll do whatever it takes to get some tea. Because really, what would possess you to be in this woman's house, going through her transcripts with patients? Dialogue between a patient and their doctor is some of the most protected material in this country. But Trisha says a story is a story. She's not leaving here empty-handed, and I support that 100%. I'm the same way. After she finds the tape, every time she tries to go have a meal, I'm like, yo. Pop that tape in. The other thing that cracks me up about Trisha is that she will my man you to death. She's obsessed with Ethan, even though admittedly she didn't really know him that well before she got married, and her friends were extremely worried about that. But she's always talking about her handsome husband. She loves her husband, her big, strong husband. She's not afraid to flex on you, which, empty. Flex on me, girl. So I do like our main character, Trisha. Ethan, I'm not so sure about, because there have been some odd things that pop up, but it would just be so cliche to have the husband involved in anything. So I'm really hoping that this is just a case of Trisha found the man of her dreams. It happened really fast, but good for her. The other thing I like about this book is that it's super engaging. Just being in this big, empty manor of a woman who disappeared under very mysterious circumstances, trapped in her house during a winter storm with, and again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but some weird things happening in the house, paired with the tension of listening to the tapes and not knowing what Dr. Hale's patients are going to say, what they've endured or what they've done to other people. Ooh, it just hits so right, and it makes me excited to sit down and read it. So Never Lie is definitely our first pick, and then I think I have an idea of what we're going to do for our second book, but I just have to make sure that I can get it. But for now, let's turn the lights off and get back to reading. So, good news, I have picked out the second book that we're going to read for our week of winter thrillers. We already picked up Never Lie by Frida McFadden, and now we're also going to add No Exit by Taylor Adams. This one, I think is going to be a doozy. In No Exit, we have a college student named Darby Thorne, and she's rushing on her way home because her mother is seriously ill and probably dying. But on her way, she gets caught in this, extreme blizzard in Colorado, which, although time is definitely of the essence, it leaves her no choice but to stop at a rest stop and wait out the storm. Inside the rest stop, Darby finds that there are 4 other people, 4 complete strangers. So there's nothing to do but wait out the storm, make small talk with, and play like board games with 4 complete strangers. My nightmare. Darby tries to make a phone call to update her family on the situation, and while she's outside in the blizzard, she peeks in the back of one of the vans and finds out that there's a little girl locked up in an animal crate. It's obvious the little girl has been kidnapped, and Darby has no idea who's done it. So now she's stuck at the rest stop with 4 strangers with no way to leave, no cell phone reception, a little girl in the back of a van, and she has no idea which one of the strangers has done this terrible, terrible thing. So now poor Darby has to find a way to save the little girl, but she doesn't know who she can trust. So that's no exit. I don't even know what I would do in that situation. Like, what do you do in that situation? My instinct is that you would just go back in the rest stop and announce to everybody that there's a van in there with a little girl in an animal crate. So whoever's van that is, speak up, but then you don't know if one of them has a weapon. So what if the person who kidnapped the little girl just has a gun and decides to clean up the rest stop? And now you've gotten all these people killed and the little girl gets kidnapped still. Or you run the risk that they're all in on it. Group kidnappers. It's a kidnapping club. And you've just announced yourself as somebody who's not down with kidnapping. So yeah, that's no exit. We're going to add that to the list. This is the book that I think I'm looking forward to less than Never Lie. Because Never Lie seems like it's just good thriller fun. No Exit kind of seems scary. Like when I was starting No Exit, I only got 20 pages in. My anxiety was spiked a little bit because those are some dire circumstances. The little girl's in the back of the van. There's nowhere to go, and you don't know these people. So I am actually dreading seeing what happens to poor Darby. But those are the 2 books that we're going to read for this week, so let's get on it. Okay, so the way that my household works is that if I want to just film a cute thing that my dog is doing, I get a nasty look. He's not a fan of it, but he hears me start talking to the camera and now he's Whoopi Goldberg. He wants to be involved. But right now, I think he's off minding his own business so we can have this conversation. He did leave a little toy down here that makes a really loud duck noise as a trap. And right before I started this clip, I stepped on it. It was touch and go there for a second. The duck was about to blow the whole operation. But I think we're okay. So let's do some reading updates on our wintry thrillers. Let's start with Never Lie. So in this book, we have 2 points of view. We have Trisha's, of course, as she and her husband are fumbling their way through this house, making themselves like way too comfortable for being in a dead woman's house, and Trisha listening to the transcripts of the tapes. But we also have Dr. Adrian Hale's point of view. Hale's points of view are labeled as before, which I'm assuming is before her disappearance. And so with her point of view, coupled with the transcripts from the tapes, we are slowly uncovering the mystery of what happened to her. All we know right now is that she's having some serious trouble with one of her patients. She's treating this patient for a personality disorder, and for some reason this person has fixated on her. And that fixation starts to cause some serious consequences for Dr. Hale. That patient's transcripts are definitely uncomfortable. Every time I listen to that person's transcripts, all I can think to myself is whatever Dr. Hale says you got it. And they are definitely not someone that I would want to be obsessed with me. But we are just continuing to see whether her relationship with that patient plays any role in whatever mysterious thing has happened to her. I personally still prefer Trisha's point of view. Her and Ethan being trapped in this massive house with all of these strange things going on is still by far the most fascinating part of the story to me. The snow has not stopped. They pulled up in a BMW, so there's no way for them to get through the roads. And the closest neighbor is like a full mile away. Like they are trapped. With nothing in the fridge but bologna. And since pretty much like the 3rd or 4th chapter, Trisha has this feeling that they are not alone in the house. So all of those things coupled together, like I want Trisha's point of view. And I also still just really like Trisha. After 20 chapters, this lady is still talking to me about her husband and how wonderful her husband is. He was mad at you in the car earlier for no reason, but hey, you stand by your husband, girl. Like it gets to the point where Trisha is seeing things happen with her own 2 eyes, her own vision. that the Lord put in her skull. And she tells Ethan, like, hey, I saw this happen, or I heard this noise. And he's like, no, you didn't. And she's like, you're right, I didn't. Like, girl, you saw the thing move. And Ethan was upstairs and you were in the other room. So who moved it? Who moved it? As frustrating as it is, it makes for a funny read. So far, as I think we're nearing the halfway point, I don't have really any strong feelings for this one. When it comes to Dr. Hale's point of view, I'm honestly not that interested. It's not really hooking me as much. Like, I know she's having this thing with the patient and their obsession with her strikes a little something in my chest, but nothing heavy. Like I said before, I prefer Trisha's point of view way more than Dr. Hale's. I know that you're supposed to feel the suspense considering like what's going on with the patient and whatnot, and I do care, but spooky house, like that's just gonna win every time. And I mean, as far as thrillers go, it's just not doing much different than other thrillers that I've read. This is really just something that's entertaining. So whatever starts to unfold from the halfway mark, I really hope that I get a satisfying conclusion. So that's Never Lie. And then we have No Exit, which brings out a very raw fear and anxiety in me. This book has the potential to give me a heart attack. I'm almost 100 pages in, and last night I was reading this book, and when I finished that last chapter that I read, I literally screamed out. This is how you craft a thriller. Because while Never Lie makes me feel only mild emotions, No Exit has reached into my brain. I mean, we're not even halfway through, and I'm already feeling extremely overwhelmed by the possibilities of how this night will unfold. I can't even give you an update on how the plot's going with Darby because I don't want to give anything away, and because the book just takes place in one spot with one cast of characters with one plot point, and you know that they're stuck here for like the next 12 hours. I mean, all I will say is that Darby is in a lot of trouble, and I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't know what she's going to do. We're 100 pages in and I don't know what she's going to do. But we're going to continue going through No Exit. We're going to continue trying to see how Darby gets this little girl out of the van and to safety. We're going to call the military. Somebody has to help her. Not me. So it's the next day, and all day today it's been rainy and cloudy and miserable and gray. Excuse me. So I figured that today we would just go ahead and finish up both of our winter reads. We're going to start with Never Lie because I still have the audiobook for that, and I wanted to do a little bit of crocheting. And then later on tonight we'll tackle No Exit. And No Exit is definitely more of a nighttime book. That book is nothing to play with. But we'll do a whole update on No Exit before we actually finish it up, so we'll have that discussion later. As for Never Lie, this whole time, I get the sense that the author has been trying to trick you, thinking that there's this one outcome that's going to happen. Because this one outcome she has laid on so thick, like with the heaviest hand. Enough that if that was the actual outcome, it would be the laziest. There would be no reason for you to even write the book. You could have just left it right in the drafts. So I'm choosing to believe that she's not going to insult us by having that be the conclusion. But if it ends up being this theory, 2 stars. I'm so serious. Because Never Lie isn't bad. Just so far, it's been so average. In the beginning, when I was reading this, when there was so much possibility and so much potential, I was so excited to pick this up. But now that we only have an hour and a half of the audiobook, my excitement has dwindled so much. I'm not excited to get to the climax. I just more want to get it over with, which is a bad mindset to go into reading this book. Okay, scratch that. Hold on. Let me perk up because books are innocent until proven guilty. So she might unfold the wildest, most earth-shaking plot twist I've ever read. I don't know. There's too much time. Let me not be judgmental. Let me just pop my AirPods in, grab my little crochet project, and we'll get started. But first, let me show you guys what I'm working on. It's a blanket for my dad. He likes bright colors, so I used this ombre red, orange, and yellow yarn. It's the Bernat blanket yarn in ombre. And I'm just using a single crochet stitch because I like the way that it's nice and tight and really warm. The blanket is super long because he's really tall and it's been taking me quite a while, but now we have an hour and a half to work on it. So we're going to work on it. I'm also going to carefully move this cow to the other side without him noticing, because if he notices, it's over. We're safe. So, no, honey, this isn't for you. This is just yarn. Plot-wise, we are coming to the end, and I think that we're about to get a lot of our highly coveted answers to the mystery of what happened to Dr. Adrienne Hale. We're going to find out how this whole thing with her obsessive patient is going to end, and we're also going to find out what is going on with this very creepy, mysterious house that Ethan is desperate to move Trisha into, even though all this stuff has happened. So we're finally going to get some answers, and we'll decide whether these answers are satisfactory or crazy. Forget everything I just said. I know nothing. I didn't see that coming in the slightest. We're back in. We have to lock in now. Because are you kidding me? My eyes are watering. It's coming together. It's coming together. Frida McFadden, I've learned my lesson. I'm shutting up. I'm shutting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 chapters left. It took a turn, and I'm very happy that it took a turn, because the book needed to take a turn. Took a turn. See, this always happens to me though. I always feel so lukewarmly about a book, and I don't expect it to surprise me. And then all of a sudden, bam! It's just one of the reasons why I love reading so much. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what an author has in store for you. Oh, I actually forgot about that too. There are so many things that, hold on, I have to finish listening to this and we can decide if this all makes sense. Does this all make sense? More importantly, do I even care if it makes sense? Because I am the type that for some thrillers, if the plot twist is juicy enough, I won't fact check you. I won't go back and review and see if whatever you were saying makes sense. I will just accept the plate that you've set before me and have a nice meal. But I have to see if it ends on a good note before I can just be like, oh, okay, it was crazy. Perfect. Okay, while McFadden gets big points for that plot twist, the book is dragging after the plot twist. I think it's been like almost 10 chapters since we got that big reveal, and I'm so ready for this to wrap up. It surprised me, and I'm really grateful for that, but I still can't say that I love this book or it's a great book. Like, it's just fine. Great plot twist. Oh, wait. Oh my God, we just got another layer of it. Well, well, well. Does this all make sense? Is this all necessary? That's the question. Is this necessary? I am going to give you my final thoughts on Never Lie, but first I gotta get my thoughts together and I gotta get them organized. Because with Never Lie, the author definitely chose shock value over making the story make any type of sense. But in my rating, I have to decide how much of that I'm willing to forgive. Because as someone who prioritizes fun during a reading experience, I can forgive a lot. I can look the other way. I can take a bribe, but I don't know, man. McFadden, she kind of pushed it. I have to reflect. Do I uphold my morals as a literary critic, or do I throw everything away for the vibes? But we'll talk about Never Lie later, and now we're going to switch our attention to No Exit. I'm going to be really careful about the things that I say for this one, because when you go into this not knowing the terror, the trials and tribulations that you're about to go through, it's so good. It's so good. And I want you to have that experience as well. So I'll keep things semi-vague, but what I can tell you so far is that in the last 6 or 8 hours of Darby's time, she and I have experienced So much pain. Darby has found herself in pretty much a cat and mouse game with the kidnapper. She is doing everything she absolutely can to save this little girl's life. But it's like every time we get 5 steps forward, it's 2 miles back. Every time Darby thinks that she has a handle on the situation, something else appears. And then something else appears, and then something else appears, and I frankly just don't know how much more she can take. I am trying to cheer Darby on as much as I possibly can, but short of giving her a gun, I just don't know what else I can do. But where we are in the story, Darby and our very young victim are kind of making their last stand against the kidnapper, or at least what feels like their last stand, except we have 100 pages left, which does not bode well. We still have so many unanswered questions. We still have so many things that Darby's noticed throughout the night that don't quite make sense, but I know are going to impact the story in the worst way. I just honestly can't imagine what is about to unfold over the next 100 pages. And typically I even read more of the book before we start our reactions to the final pages, but this is just something that I don't want to read by myself. I don't want to read this by myself. I need you guys here as my moral support. And if I cry, I cry. Is your booty hole clenched? Because it should be. See, it's another one of those things that I just don't know how it relates to the bigger story, but Darby's clocking it, and we're obviously clocking it too. And there's something else at play here that we're just not seeing right now. It just got a whole lot worse. Like, what do we do? No, 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 no. Please let this be over. Oh, never mind. We have like 70 pages left. Oh my God. Oh, no, 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 no. We still have so much left. Like, where do we go from here? What is happening? My only advice is that you need to pick up this book. Go get this book, read it, and then come back and tell me every single thing that made you scream when you were reading this. And that was the whole reading vlog. All right, so Never Lie. It took me a while to think about what I wanted to rate Never Lie, because looking back, I have to admit, it doesn't make sense. I can't tell you the specific reason it doesn't make sense without giving everything away, but I have to be honest with you with the fact that even though I personally may give it a little bit of leeway because I liked the plot twist so much, it didn't make sense. There's no way I could start that book over from the beginning, read it, and that would make sense. So my personal rating is 3 stars. I don't regret reading it, so I gave it 3 stars. But on a professional note, like 2, maybe 2.5 stars. If you're someone who can suspend disbelief for the plot and the silliness, try it. If you're somebody who has to think about it critically, she not gonna pass the test. Now, no exit. No exit. You guys know how I feel about this book. You saw what happened to me. Reading No Exit was like reading a movie. It is the exact definition of a thriller. It was action-packed. It was vile. It was gross. It might have even been a tiny bit over the top, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm standing behind that book. Okay? 4.5 stars for me, rounded up to 5. Maybe there's an argument for a 4-star, but nah, let's not argue. Just everything I wanted it to be and more. And that's everything that I have for you guys this week. Thank you for visiting Ashburg. We were so happy to have had you, and we hope to see you again very soon. Bye!